Hello, my name is Afnan AlSubaihin. I'm an assistant professor at King Saud University. I'm here today to present the work co-authored with Professor Federica Sarro from UCL. So this paper is a short replication study that investigates categorizing mobile apps based on genetic algorithms. But first, let me introduce the problems. Automatic software categorization is an ongoing research problem. The research problem aims to find similarity among software artifacts. Such similarity can help in detecting malicious applications, for example. It also has been used to detect clones, and it has been used generally to detect domain application similarity for several uses. Finding similarity in mobile apps can be specifically challenging. The reason is the App Store can house a very large number of apps. It can range between 1.5 and 2 million apps. On the other hand, the app categories or the App Store categories can be very generic. They convey mainly a broad theme of the app and cannot be used to detect functionally similar apps, for example. This is confirmed by previous research. In this paper, for example, they found that the App Store categories is not sufficient and is too generic to find apps that share similar functionalities. While in previous work, we found that the current categorization might be of too coarse granularity to be sufficient for such tasks. This is a specifically interesting problem because of all the metadata that the App Store offers regarding the apps. These metadata can be interesting to investigate and employ in similarity detection. The original paper looked specifically into clustering apps by analyzing the app descriptions. The app textual description can contain a generic description of the goal of the app, the objectives of the app, in addition to listing the app features. So similar apps may share similar terminology for expressing their features to end users. So the original paper investigated mainly 5 feature extraction techniques. FSM here incorporates 2 different variations, uh, and it used mainly only one clustering algorithm, which is hierarchical clustering. It found that topic modeling, extracting features using topic modeling, namely LDA, performs consistently better than the rest. On the other hand, evolutionary approaches were shown to be successful as clustering techniques in other application domains. The second one here, the one proposed by Molik, has been shown to find a global optimum in the data. So in this paper, we replicate the efforts of the original paper by taking the most successful feature extraction technique. And instead of clustering using hierarchical clustering, we use a genetic algorithm based clustering technique. We then compare it to the LDA-based hierarchical clustering results reported in the original study. In terms of the research questions, we investigate 4 of the 5 research questions from the original study. The first research question is more of a sanity check. It checks how similar is the GA-based clustering solution to the hierarchical clustering one. If the results are identical or very similar, it might be of no value to continue investigating the genetic algorithm-based clustering. The next research question asks if genetic-based clustering algorithm improves on the current App Store categorization and the hierarchical clustering. The answer to this question will confirm whether the use of GA clustering can actually improve the status quo, which is the App Store categorization, and the state of the art, which is the original study. The next research question asks, how does the choice of K, which is the number of clusters, affect the clustering quality of GA clustering? Because selecting a suitable K is an ongoing problem in cluster analysis. So this research question explores how much the choice of K affect the quality of the resulting clusters using GA clustering. The next and final research question asks how efficient is GA clustering compared to the hierarchical one? Because it is well known that GA can be costly to fine-tune and evolve, therefore it is important to report its efficiency in terms of runtime in order to properly weigh its benefits over costs. In terms of the dataset, we use the same dataset used in the original study. It comprises mainly of 12,600 mobile apps. The apps were mined from Google Play App Store in 2014, I believe. They were uniformly randomly sampled from the App Store. The topics has been extracted from the textual descriptions of these apps using LDA, using the same technique used in the original study. In terms of the data representation, the apps are coded as a vector containing the relatedness of the app to each of the topics. The number of topics J here is 273. It has been shown by the original study to be the number of topics generated by LDA that causes the least perplexity. Each individual is a set of K cluster centers randomly generated. So the individual is a set of all the cluster centers depending on the number of K, the number of desired clusters in the solution. The solutions are evolved using linear rank selection, blend crossover, and non-uniform mutation. In terms of parameter tuning, we found that a good compromise is using a population of 500 individuals and 1,000 generations. The crossover rate was 0.9, while the mutation rate was 0.1. We investigated decreasing the crossover rate and increasing mutation rate. It did not produce better results. An interesting issue we run into, and it's caused by the sparsity of the matrix used here, which is when generating the initial random population, so it is random cluster centers, GA clustering looks at each gene and generates a uniformly random number between the upper and lower bounds found in the dataset. But since the dataset represents topic relatedness, so each gene in the individual is the relatedness of that individual to one specific topic, the dataset is a very sparse matrix. The initial population of the random centers can be very far from the actual data points in the dataset. As a result, many of the initial random solutions have mainly empty clusters, since finding viable random cluster centers that are sufficiently close to the data points is unlikely. In order to address this limitation, we modified the random population generation so that it uniformly samples from the set of pre-observed values. So values are the relatedness of this app to this topic. So it will be randomly sampled from a set of pre-observed values for each gene. Additionally, we have adopted a penalty function that deducts the fitness of an individual proportionally to the number of empty clusters that it contains. In terms of the fitness function, we use the same quality measurement used in the original paper, which is the silhouette score. The silhouette score is assigned to each data point in a clustering solution. In this case, it's an app. And the assignment is based on its similarity to the apps in the same cluster it is, and its dissimilarity to apps in other clusters. So the silhouette for an entire clustering solution is the mean scores of all data points in the dataset. It can range from -1, meaning complete misassignments, to 1, meaning perfect assignments. So let's look into the results and discuss them with regards to each of these research questions. Research question 0, the sanity check. It found that the Jacquard similarity between the hierarchical clustering in the original paper and the GA clustering here when K equals 24 was 0.37. So Jacquard similarity ranges between 0 and 1. So this means it's not entirely different. So this shows that GA clustering solution does not stray very much from the hierarchical clustering one, but based on the results of the following research question, we will find that it really improves upon it. In terms of research question 1, whether GA clustering can improve on the current App Store categorization and the hierarchical clustering. We observe here that, like the original study reported, existing categorization was of very low quality. The hierarchical clustering did improve upon it by 1.7%, but GA clustering, so this is when k equals 24, it produces a solution of high quality, relatively high quality to the hierarchical one. So it improves it by 51%. The next research question looks into the behavior of the quality of the clustering solution based on the choice of k, so based on the number of cluster. We find that GA clustering fails to find solutions with high mean silhouette scores at given parameters. This could provide evidence that for the studied dataset, GA clustering may not be suitable for finer clustering granularity, although it is very competent at coarser clustering granularity. So when k is smaller, GA clustering does significantly better, but as k increases, it does not perform as well. So in order to gain further insight regarding the silhouette trend as k increases, we investigated the mean silhouette score for random initial populations containing 500 individuals at different levels of k, which is shown in this graph. So the results suggest that silhouette scores are higher at lower k values and remain stagnant as k increases. But this is only for random initial populations. In terms of the efficiency, we find that GA clustering and hierarchical clustering cost exactly the same for the first two steps. It's an upfront cost of carrying out LDA and choosing the most suitable number of topics based on perplexity. The distance matrix is slightly slower for GA. Hierarchical uses cosine distance, while GA uses the square Euclidean distance. But we noticed that the largest difference is when carrying out the clustering algorithm itself. So if the distance matrix is already calculated, hierarchical clustering only requires 6 seconds to build a dendrogram. So this is the solution for all possible k values. But for the GA clustering algorithm, when we set k, the number of clusters to 24, we have a population of 500 individuals and 1,000 generations. GA can take up to 2 days or almost 2 days on the same machine. So it's important here to weigh the costs against the benefits, especially with regards to the selected K, as shown in the previous research question. GA can give significant improvement, but only when K is smaller based on our parameter settings and based on our data set. So finally, the findings of this study, we show that GA significantly enhances the App Store clustering quality. We also show that GA requires specific considerations with regards to random generation of solutions because of the sparsity of the matrix. We also show that GA can significantly improve the quality of the clustering only in lower values of K, given our dataset and the inspected parameters. But we believe these results are very promising. We're hoping they will encourage further investigation into using GA clustering for software engineering problems. So to conclude, we have shown that mobile app stores might need specific investigation into how to categorize them and detect the similarity of apps for various usage scenarios. We have shown that studied techniques looks into leveraging mobile app descriptions for feature extractions using LDA mainly and hierarchical clustering. So we investigate the efficacy of using GA clustering for the same problem. We compare several aspects of the results. The most interesting is that GA greatly improves the quality at low values of K, but fails at higher values. This concludes my talk. Thank you very much for listening.